Hi there, my name is Liz Hathway and this is my astrological look at the week ahead. Just noticing that shadow on the wall there, which is quite interesting in a week of eclipses, which is really all about light and dark and shadow. Anyway, we'll go to that. We'll come to the eclipse later. Just want to start with looking at today, which is Tuesday, and Venus's entry into Virgo. So once in Virgo, Venus is Mercury ruled, and Venus is considered to be in fall in Virgo, and you can wonder why this might be the case. And I think partly this is because a Venus in Virgo is a rational Venus. She's a questioning Venus. She's a shrewd Venus. She is a critical Venus. And these are all things that maybe in the past were seen as detrimental to a woman looking for a husband or a partner. I'm talking about, the far further back in the history of, the feminine. So, this is a Virgo who doesn't, Venus in Virgo doesn't just take things on the chin. She questions. She can calculate. She can think. And this is actually in many ways just like Venus in Aries has a lot of power, so does Venus in Virgo. This is a shrewd, thinking, rational, and also in my mind a self-contained Venus. Virgo really is often represented as the young woman, and it's a young woman who's still a virgin, who hasn't yet known a man. So there's a sort of self-containedness in Venus in Virgo, which I find gives it a lot of strength. And it's interesting because, Uranus in Taurus now is ruled by Venus. So this adds a sort of rational edge to Uranus as well, because this week we have a grand Earth trine. We have Uranus trine Venus, and later on in the week, on Saturday, for example, Venus herself trine Saturn. So we have a grand trine in Earth, which gives some kind of mastery over the physical world, which gives command of the physical world, which also, since Venus is a planet of wealth and riches, there could be some gains this week. There might be some opportunities in terms of practical affairs. But even if those things do not materialize, this is sort of mastery of the earth. And I'm quite interested how this grand trine is going to play out in the collective, because it's really the first meeting of Uranus with its ruler since it moved into Taurus in May. So this is an interesting grand trine. We might be seeing it play out a little bit in what's happening, for example, in Thailand at the moment, where this incredible rescue effort is taking place. This sort of entry into the bowels of the earth, and the successful, if today, if that goes well, then there's this sort of mastery over, clearly what has been a very treacherous, difficult rescue operation there. But what we also have on this today, Tuesday, is Jupiter moving direct. So Jupiter direct is an indication that things that have been slow to start, slow to grow momentum, slow to really take shape. These sort of, certainly anything Jupiter related. So we're looking at travel, we're looking at higher education, we're looking at business plans that are based very much on some element of risk possibly, or some speculation, things that we've been a little bit, we've been dipping the toe in the water but not ready to take the plunge. With Jupiter moving forward in Scorpio, some shrewd business decisions can be made, and there's this sense of things moving forward, Jupiter business moving forward. There could have been, because we're also in eclipse season now, so there might have been a crisis of some kind that has been held off and held off and held off, which erupts with Jupiter direct. I mean, we're certainly seeing this sort of manifest in the UK at the moment. And this, Jupiter direct is things, become clear. Two ministers have resigned just in the last 24, 48 hours. So, there are people maybe who've struggled with their conscience, which is very much a Jupiter thing. you know, and this decision to withdraw, to move in out of that situation and create a new opportunity, which is what Jupiter's always about. When things are held fast, and Jupiter's in Scorpio, it's a fast sign. You know, things, energy that's bundled as Scorpio energy is and held fast. It can't, you know, there's no room there for new things. So there's a shift. Some new things can emerge. On Thursday, we have Pluto opposite the Sun, and this is really a sort of entry vibe, in a way, to the eclipse, which is on Friday. That's an eclipse in 2041 Cancer. It's a solar eclipse, and it's an interesting one because this is an eclipse. I think it was the True North series. I did check this. And what we're seeing with this eclipse is that it's now coming to the end of the series of eclipses, the Sarah series of eclipses. I think this one starting in the 7th century. It's almost played out. It's the last but one eclipse in that whole series. So, you know, it's not at its most powerful for sure. I mean, when it's halfway through the cycle, then it's maximum strength. But it is a watery eclipse, and if we look at what some of the you know, older texts have to say about it, for example, someone like Masha'Allah, he says with a water eclipse, the danger here is going to come through water. And certainly what we've seen in Thailand, what we've seen as well in Japan, is that water has been the cause of much grief, shall we say. But I mean, also in Europe, we're having this, we're having a drought, really. We haven't had a lot of rain. We've had this very hot summer. So this is another sort of, you know, we've been asked to go easy on water. You know, the Dutch government were asking us not to water our gardens and this sort of thing. So there is this sense, not really of danger, but certainly a sense of shortage or need to take care of that element. And that's really what an eclipse is like, really. It has this potential to highlight things in the birth chart. You know, it can bring a hidden problem to light. It can also point to difficulties. And we're seeing this very clearly in the UK chart, where the eclipse is falling in the 10th house. This is the house of the government. This is the house of the king, the queen, the ruler, etc. And we're certainly seeing, well, we're certainly seeing the PM, is particularly, I mean, Parliament will be 11th house, but the 10th house is certainly the Prime Minister, and her position at the moment is becoming incredibly shaky with all these resignations. So this eclipse, Pluto on the Sun, Moon, what would we expect there? We would expect deep, fundamental, irreversible change. Things that we cannot go back on, and things really that we need to embrace. Pluto is has a bit of a reputation for destruction, for death, but also for rebirth. And there is a sense sometimes, you know, a door closes and another door opens. This is a sort of a purge in a way. It can be an inner purge. It can be clean up your act time. It can be, certainly now, if this eclipse is like hitting your horoscope big time, one of the personal planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, etc., then it's a clean out time. It's clean up your act. And I think really the key here is to embrace the change as well, not to be afraid of it or not willing to run with it, because this is a profound indicator of deep lasting changes if you can actually embrace it and not resist it. Yeah, a super interesting eclipse to my mind, followed again on Saturday by Venus trine Saturn. So an eclipse with a lot of potential. That's my take on it. As I say, it's easing to the end of its lifetime. The next eclipse in this True North series will be the end of it. So it's very significant that Pluto is on the Sun Moon midpoint, and Pluto was also in Capricorn when the series started. So there is this sense of maybe as well with Jupiter going direct this week, you know, the Grand Trine in Earth, of some things having run their course. It's like almost like time to, you know, clean up the emotional dredge and lay some new fundaments, which is what really Earth is about. Okay, thank you for listening. Have a great week.